So as we mentioned at the outset, today's topic is service desk efficiency. And I've done this topic a few times over the last couple of years, folks. Each year I try to make it a little bit tighter, but I also try to include more content. It is a bit ambitious. I'm going to be talking pretty fast because I want to get through all the content that we have and leave some time for Q&A in case I didn't think of everything. Okay. Also, I'm going to start out with some assumptions, right? I'm going to assume that you already understand things like there is a service desk module, that we have a ticketing system and how it generally works and so forth. And I'm going to be building on top of that knowledge to tell you how to use those different things in certain ways, concepts really, folks, not so much nuts and bolts of how to turn this on or how to tweak that. We've covered those in past KKEs. I'll be happy to cover them again in future KKEs, but today I really want to give you kind of a guide for which features you should be using and how you should be using them to introduce the efficiency that you no doubt desperately need in your IT department, okay? Because we're constantly tasked with more functions and fewer resources to accomplish those. I understand this, folks, I really do. I've done your job for 20 plus years, so I know where you're coming from. I know what your struggles are, and I'm here to help, okay? So let's get started. First, we're going to cover what IT support is, not what somebody told us it was, not what somebody thinks it should be, but what it actually is, okay? And the KACE features, not just on the K1000, but the KACE features that are part and parcel, that are central to actually accomplishing effective IT support, okay? Some philosophies and policies we're really going to have to cover before we get into any sort of content regarding what we can do and how we can do it, because our philosophies lead to our policies. Our policies are the framework, if you will, for how we implement the technology to accomplish whatever our ends are, okay? And then finally, the actual service desk module pieces that can implement our policies, the technology that can actually do what we want done. Okay, and then as I said, some Q&A at the end. All right, so what we're going to be covering today is any content, anything that we say to you today is going to be current as of the actual generally available versions of our KACE appliances. Okay, anything we say is possible is possible as of the latest versions. Okay, so if we say something is there and you go to your K1 or K2 and it's not there, then you probably aren't updated to the very latest version. Okay, note that the ones that are in red are recent additions, recent new versions. Okay, so I want you to, after we're done today, go check out, read the release notes always. Always read the release notes before you upgrade. But check those out and get upgraded to the latest and greatest versions. All right, so what is IT support? First of all, there's a reason we have jobs, right? Stuff doesn't always work, right? Stuff doesn't always work, and that's great because it does give us a job that we all enjoy doing. We love working with technology, right? Some of us more so than working with people, right? But it doesn't always mean that when something goes wrong that we, the IT admins, right, the support staff, that we are always required. Our actual attention to the matter and time and actual manual intervention into the situation isn't always required, right? There are certainly times when users can solve their own problems. Maybe they lack the instruction, the knowledge to solve the problem. Maybe if it's just simply a matter of giving them a step-by-step process that they could follow, right? Here, folks, think, change my network password. How many times do you get that call from users? I need to change my network password. I don't remember how to do it. It's a very simple process, right? And you have to walk through it. It only takes you 30 seconds to walk them through it, but how many times do you do that? Imagine if we could give them the instruction up front, right? Maybe even make a video that literally walks them step by step, and we never, ever, ever, ever had to spend that 30 seconds with the customer ever again, right? Well, we can do that, okay? What if we could truly have a collaborative IT environment where every single tech knows what every other tech knows, right? So once somebody figures out how to solve a problem, he shares that knowledge with others in a way that is easily and repeatably accessible, and so that any tech getting any ticket can solve any problem, right? So if we could, through these kinds of things, and more than I'm going to cover, if we could make solutions to our customers' problems available much more efficiently so that their problems get solved sooner, quicker, how much happier and more importantly, how much more productive is our company, our industry, our business going to be, right? We have fewer breakdowns, fewer problems, and those problems that do crop up, we can resolve much more quickly, much more efficiently, right, so that we have less downtime, okay? And if we do that now, because there's fewer problems for our admins to have to deal with, and the ones they do have to deal with, they can deal with much more quickly, they've got extra time on their hands. What could they be doing with that extra time? That's really the problem when IT departments, when I talk to people in IT, that's really the way they focus on it. They don't focus on it so much as helping their customers better. It's all the things they can't be doing that they're tasked with doing every day because they're constantly putting out fires, right? It's the break fix. All day, every day, they've got to break fix. And they don't have time for maybe upgrading the Exchange server. They don't have time for investigating that new software application that we've got to get into, right? How much more could we be accomplishing each and every day if literally hours were freed up per day? Okay, that's what we can do. So what are the tools and policies that can make this happen? That's what we're going to talk about today. So with the KACE family, right, with the K1 and the K2, there are lots, and there's even more than what I put on this screen, folks. I ran out of room. Okay, I tried to get the highlights, the absolute biggest movers, right, that can do what I'm talking about today. Right, number one, if we can have some sort of centralized, repeatable imaging and re-imaging solution in place, then we can make that particular aspect much more effective. And the way we do that, simple, right? Instead of putting out machines that come with whatever they come with from the factory, and a lot of customers do that. You buy your computer, say from Dell. Oh, it comes with OEM Windows. That's by far the cheapest way to actually get a Windows license for your computer. That's awesome. But when you don't wipe and reload it, it comes with bloatware. It comes with a bunch of junk you don't need, right, which slows down our computers, which makes them less effective, right? It might interfere with other software that you've got to load on them that you actually need to do your jobs, okay? We're making our machines less efficient. We're making them less effective. So if we can have a clean, streamlined image that we can put on machines, right, then we're starting out fresh. We're starting out on the right foot with those machines being fast and usable. And then later on, when we have problems, and the problems aren't easily fixable on computers, sometimes a re-image is the most efficient way to get them back up and running fast, right? If we've got a nice, simple, all-inclusive imaging system or re-imaging system, which is what the K1000 is, right? So we can drive efficiency on the front end when we're first deploying computers, and anytime we need to repurpose a computer, anytime we need to have an extended troubleshooting session with a computer, we can shortcut that circuit, that process, by re-imaging it in some cases, okay? With the K1000, there's a whole host of things we can do. Patching is probably the first thing everybody should set up, because you don't realize right now that a lot of the time that you spend troubleshooting computers and you don't ever find a solution, and then magically the problem just disappears one day. Guess what the problem was? That machine needed a patch of some kind that maybe hadn't been released yet. And then magically the patch somehow gets, the machine somehow gets that patch applied, the Windows update, or the tech does it or whatever. And magically the user just stops complaining about that problem. You ever had that happen? Of course you have. We all have. Happens from time to time. Okay. The number 2 ticket driver in the world is the machine is missing a patch, and either that manifests as a bug, something's broken, it doesn't work right, or it manifests as a security hole that gets exploited, or whatever, right? And then eventually one day that problem just goes away. It's because the machine got a patch. So if we institute our centralized patch management, K1000 is the best in the world at doing that. If you set it up my way, right? And all of a sudden, those tickets never get opened because machines are getting the patches they need. Users don't have those problems. They don't request our assistance with those problems. Immediately free up time. Immediately, as soon as you institute centralized patching. Okay? Three, I guess, on my list, device actions, right? If a user has a problem and I do need to interact with them, it's much more efficient for me to remotely interact with them rather than for me to get up out of my desk and walk to wherever they are or travel to a distant state, wherever their office might be. So things like the device action feature in the K1000 allow me to use my remote management software, whether that be RDP or VNC or TeamViewer or whatever remote desktop type software I have, whether it be computer management or PS exec or whatever software tools that I have that allow me to remotely interact with a user in their computer, I can utilize those applications right through the device actions feature right in the K1000 inventory list. Okay, so I can become much more efficient. Not only that, I can access those device actions from within a ticket in the service desk. I don't even have to go to the inventory page, right? So I can become much, much more efficient that way. Asset control, simply knowing what you have and where it is and what its state is, right? What its current deployment state, right? Is it sitting on a shelf? Hey, we got a spare. We don't have to buy a new one. I can just go grab that one off the shelf and I can repurpose it and get it out and deployed and back in business really quickly, right? Or conversely, knowing right away that I don't have a spare and I need to go ahead and initialize the purchasing process, whatever that might be at our company. Right? Simply knowing what you have, whether it's any good, where it is it accessible, and so forth, what location is it in, just simply knowing that can save you time and save you money. Okay? And the K1000 has all of those features. Right? Then the knowledge base, the user console library, and the ticketing queues, what we're going to talk about specifically today, and then the ticket processes feature, right, to be able to automate any processes that require multiple tickets in a certain order. But what we want to concentrate on today are these three. There is much to learn about those other modules, and I strongly encourage you to learn about them and utilize them. And we have KKE videos. We have upcoming KKE sessions where we talk about those, and we teach you how to use those. But today, I want to concentrate just on these three, okay? Sharing information, instruction, knowledge with both our customers and with our fellow technicians. The user console library. This is where we can share tools when information isn't enough, right? When it's not just enough to give them instructions on how to solve a problem. Maybe we need some actual applications or utilities, some sort of software that can help us either identify and collect logging, right, and information on the problem to eventually lead to a solution, or if the software can be the solution to the problem. And we can make those things available one click on demand in the user console library. If you are not using this, folks, you are you're flushing your time down the toilet if you are not using these two, okay? And then, of course, finally, ticketing. Notice it's not the top, okay? If you're going to set up a service desk and you've never done it, set up knowledge base and user console library first. Ticketing comes last, okay? And I'll explain why today. Now, along the way, people are going to be accessing all this stuff through the user portal. Okay, that's how they're going to get to the knowledge base. That's how they're going to get to the user console library. That's how they're going to get to the actual ticketing itself. Right? They're going to be doing it through your user portal. Well, you can customize that page. You might not know this. You can customize and change the logo on that page. You can change what it says at the top there. That big font, welcome to the self-service portal, can be whatever you want it to be. And all the stuff in between the welcome to self-service and the login prompt down at the bottom, every bit of that's customizable. You can see I've customized mine. I can share information before they ever log in right off the top. You see that white bar there, a cream-colored bar? Notice it's green. What does it say? All IT systems should be operating normally. What does it say now? Right? Before they ever log in to submit a ticket or to check the knowledge base or whatever and find out if their issue is widespread, find out if their issue is a known issue that we already know about. We don't need the 1300th ticket on that issue, please, and thank you. Right? We can let them know right away that we're already aware of that issue. You don't need to submit a ticket. Anything else? Create a ticket. That issue? No ticket necessary. We're aware. And I can literally change that in seconds. I can pre-create a bunch of different snippets. This server's down, that server's down, this server's down, that server's down. I can share information on upcoming outages. Right? This weekend, we're going to be upgrading the Exchange server. Expect email to be down or something along those lines. And this is just the basics, folks. I can actually make a window pop up. I can have something scrolling across the screen. It can be blinking. I can grab your attention. It supports any and all HTML code and CSS and JavaScript and whatever else I want to throw at this page, I can. Okay, and we got a whole KKE on that topic that goes in depth on customizing the user portal, creating actual media-rich knowledge-based articles on all the kinds of user console library posting ideas that I'm going to be talking about today that actually teaches you how to do those things. It's called User Console Customization Ideas. If you go to KACE.com/KKE, click on the video tutorials. Look for User Console Customization Ideas, and it tells you how, nuts and bolts, how to do those things. Okay, so make a note of that and check it out later. Now, before we can get to doing anything, we have to sit down and we have to know what our philosophical framework is. Okay, because our philosophies become the policies. Technology is limited, but technology is how we put into place our policies. We have to understand our policies before we can make technology do what we want. We have to know what we want, what we need before technology can be implemented. But we've got to remember that technology is limited. So ultimately, the policies are what we're trying to enforce. Okay? And policies are only valuable if they are enforced. This is really important. I know that we in IT like to concentrate on the technology, guys. I know that. But we have to get our hands dirty. We have to get involved in this. We have to convince management. We have to educate management that policies are the most important aspect of technology and that they have to be enforced. We have to come up with a framework of rules, and those rules have to be understood by all of our people. So we have to educate our end users, our customers, and we have to enforce them. Technology can't enforce everything. I can make a pop-up window show up on your desk. I cannot make you read it. That's it, folks. I can make a pop-up window show up on your computer. I can't make you read it. Technology is limited. Okay? This is probably the most important thing I can share with you today. We have to come up with sensible policies, and we have to get management buy-in and enforcement. Okay? All right, next up, users aren't experts. We are. That's true. That's true, but there are some things they can do. They can change their own password, right? If they simply know the process, press Control-Alt-Delete, click Change Password, type in your old password once, type in your new password twice, click OK. Your password is changed. Now, log off, log back on with your new password. Everything's gold. Right? They can do that if they simply have the information. So we write up the article, or even better, we make a video that walks them step by step through it, or both. Right? Make it available on the knowledge base, and anytime now, they don't have to call us. They don't have to ask us. I know they will. I know. We'll talk about that. Okay? But they don't have to. Some of our users will go and look for self-help resources, and that's less work for us, folks. Doesn't matter how much less. It's less work. Okay? Good customer service does not mean, and I know some of you have bosses out there that say every single ticket that comes in, you have to get personally involved. You have to talk to the user. You have to help them with, because they think that's what good customer service is. That is not, repeat, all caps, not what good customer service is. Okay? Good customer services is quickly and efficiently providing end users with a solution. If you want to add comma with a smile on your face, fine, go ahead. Okay? I want my issue resolved. That's what I want. Right? When I call my cellular company because my phone's not working right or something, my internet goes down, yeah, sure, it's nice to have somebody friendly on the end of the line, but you know what I really want? I want my internet service back. That's what I want. Right? Quickly and efficiently. If there's a way I can do it myself, that's fine too. I don't require somebody treating me like a child. Okay? I don't grow from that anyway. Right? I remain the same helpless person drawing blood from IT all the time. Okay? Good customer service is about solutions, folks. It's about solutions. Whether that solution requires you to help me or whether I can do it myself, doesn't matter as long as my problem gets solved. Okay? That's really key. I know some of you have managers out there that require that personal attention with every ticket, and we simply have to convince them. We put dollar signs on it, all of a sudden, you start putting dollar signs on things, and they have to sign off on wasting that money. They figure it out, folks. Trust me, they figure it out. Okay? And again, to repeat something I said earlier, shouldn't matter which technician an issue comes to, if we're sharing information adequately amongst our technical staff by creating knowledge base articles that are restricted only to our fellow technicians, things that end users shouldn't see themselves, right, for whatever reason, then I don't have to know how to solve a problem. I know that when a problem comes in that I'm unfamiliar with, I don't have to find the expert guy, right? That's hit by bus syndrome, right? What if expert guy is out for the next 2 weeks? Right? Well, as long as he wrote a nice knowledge base article that includes all the relevant information, I've got the solution. I can solve the problem for the user. Okay? And what that really, to sum that up, knowledge plus tools equals power. Whether I'm giving power to the end users, I'm empowering my customers to solve some of their own problems, or whether I am increasing the power of each of my individual technicians from all the knowledge and tools that any one of my technicians knows about, right? I'm giving everyone the power to provide solutions, power to access solutions. Again, that's what it's all about. Okay? Next to last, well-documented tickets. How many times have you gotten an email from an end user that says, I need help? You're all nodding your heads right now, right? Happens all the time. I'd unmute you all, but I'd hear a bunch of snickering and scoffing right now, right? So that doesn't help much, right? We don't know anything about their problem. We don't know anything about what they might need. We have to go play 20 questions with that end user and ask some stupid questions like, did you reboot it yet? Right? Whereas if we get a ticket that was simple and easy for the user to fill out, but still it shared that information right up front before a technician ever had to lift a finger, before they had to spend a single second of their time doing anything. If as soon as that ticket comes in, it already has the relevant information, what application and what version and what exactly were they trying to do and so on, right? We're much better equipped right from the beginning to waste less time collecting that information ourselves manually and get straight to a solution for the end user. Okay? And there's a lot more of them than there is of us, folks. A whole lot more of them. And the us ain't increasing. Is your IT department hiring a whole bunch of new techs? I didn't think so. Okay? So we have to become more efficient with the techs that we have. We have no choice. Right? And if you're here today, you already own a K1000, which means you have everything I'm going to tell you about today. You already have it. You just need to configure it and utilize it. Okay? So those philosophies are distilled down to these policies. Okay? I know we often think of SLAs as chains that bind us, right, as giveaways to our customers, but they're really not. It's a two-way street. Okay? They liberate us just as much as they do them because we now have a pre-known framework to work with that. As long as we stick to that, we're covered. right? So we need priorities. Everybody in and outside of IT, everybody needs to know what our priorities are. What are the issues that are more important than other issues? Okay, and that leads to predictable timetables. What types of issues are we going to respond to on what kind of timetable? Right? What are the timelines for the different priorities, the different types of issues that might come in? When can they know they will hear from us? Right? Not just during the business day, but when I have a significant problem on the weekend and I submit a ticket, I know in advance, I can expect to know in advance when to hear back from IT. Okay? It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be right away, but I know already when to expect it. This is very important. It's comforting for both sides. Okay? The knowledge that we've been talking about so far, we've got to share this information. There are some things our end users can do for themselves. It matters not that some of them won't, folks. It does not matter that some of them won't help themselves. We have a solution to that too. But the point is there are some that will help themselves. And to the extent that some of them do, that's less work for IT. Less work spent on break fix for IT means more work available for other things in IT. Not to mention, again, that the user now has a solution and they're back and working. Okay? These tools that we're going to be talking about today, sometimes knowledge isn't sufficient. Sometimes information or instruction on how to solve a problem isn't sufficient. Sometimes it might require some software. So we as an IT department need to identify which utilities and applications need to be used by our IT technicians. We need to acquire them. Sometimes that means spend a little bit of money on IT. I know that businesses are loath to spend money on things that are strictly for IT. They'll buy IT-related items, i.e. software and hardware for their end users to use, right, that have to be implemented by the IT department, but they're loath to buy actual applications and utilities and so forth strictly for the IT department to use. Sometimes we have to. There are a lot of great free utilities out there. Sometimes we need to buy some. The K1000, the K2000 are examples of those. Right? How much more efficient can IT be with those utilities? Sometimes spending a little bit of money can save a ton of money on the back end. And most importantly, notice the italics there, folks. What good are these utilities if we don't know how to use them? Just because Joe knows how to use it doesn't mean I do. So Joe, write an article, create a video, teach the other IT guys how to use them. Okay? We all agree on the same tool set. This is really important. We all agree on the same tool set. We teach everybody how to use the tools in that set. And now everybody can solve any problem. Okay? And most importantly, folks, we get a consistent user experience, no matter what problem, no matter what tech. That is what drives customer appreciation. Okay? And then finally, customers have to give us some information to solve their problems. They simply have to. Okay? They have to give it to us. Either they give it to us unbidden, or we have to get it from them. But we simply can't solve problems without knowledge about what the problem is. So some of our policies are that they will fill out the ticket and that they will give us the information one way or the other. Or we're going to have to call them and bother them to get the information from them. It's more efficient for everybody if they just give it to us up front when they fill out the ticket. Okay? There are some requirements for our customers if they want help. Simply the way it's got to be. So let's do some of this stuff. Now, the service desk module, the knowledge base. This is the place to start, folks. I mentioned one problem right off the top, right? How to change my network password. All of you get that periodically. So how long does it take to write? Probably 10 minutes. Probably more like 5 minutes. But let's say 10 minutes it takes you to write that. That's 10 minutes you will never, ever, ever have to spend ever with a user ever again. Add up how many times that comes in over the life of your career. 10 minutes versus that. Okay, there are probably 30 other things you could think of if I gave you 15 minutes to sit down and think of what are the other most common things that a user bothers you about that they could do themselves. There's probably 30 you could think of right away. There's actually probably 50 more on top of that that you just can't think of at the moment, but that will come up over the next few weeks, okay? So we start with the 30 we know of. We write them up immediately, put them in our knowledge base. We want to dress up our knowledge base articles, folks. We want to use the HTML, the markdown that's ability that's available in the K1000 knowledge base. Because think about it, folks. When you get an email, it's just a wall of text. Your eyes glaze over, right? It's hard to stick to it. We all suffer in this world from ADD these days, right? But if it's broken up into paragraphs, and if it's got different fonts, and if it's got some color, and if it's got an embedded video, and if it's got all these other things that dress it up, that make it easier to read, I'm much more likely to benefit from the information in there. So let's not make walls of text. Okay? Let's write things that are easy, quick, short, to the point, easy to read, easy to get the information out of. Okay? So we write those right away. We don't bother sitting there racking our brain trying to think of the 50 other things that I mentioned that we probably could if we took the time. What we're going to do is we're going to get these out there, and those are useful. Okay? And then the other things that come in, tickets that come in that we don't have a knowledge base article for, right, we're going to write one when we're done with that ticket. We can even click one button, create knowledge base article, on any closed ticket and turn that ticket and its documentation in the ticket into a knowledge base article. Do a little cleanup and we're done. So organically, right, our problems that come up on our timetables, organically, eventually, we'll have knowledge base articles for just about every ticket that ever comes in. Right? They might not all be focused on the end users. We might have some knowledge base articles that are focused only on our fellow technicians, right? Technically, yes, it's something a user could do with this instruction list, but maybe it's something we don't want the user to do themselves. We want them to come to us and we'll do it, right? But we want it written down so nobody has to remember, right? So that all text can solve any problem, right? So we're going to have some knowledge base articles that are focused on everybody and some that are restricted to just our fellow technicians. Okay? And there's lots of different uses for these things. It's not all about IT break fix or how to do something IT related. It can be general company announcements. But if we stick to IT, there's lots of times you'd like to share information with end users, right? If you send emails, they don't read them, right? Server's going to be down this weekend. Nobody remembers. You take the server down the weekend and you get 8,000 emails. Hey, I tried to get in and couldn't do this and that. Yeah, I know. You're all nodding your head. I know. They don't read emails. They're not going to read knowledge base articles either, right? Maybe we have some of that information pop up when they go to log into the user console. Maybe that will stick with them. Maybe we didn't even mention this. Maybe we use the K1000 alerts feature, right? And we make it literally pop up on their screen, right on their computer. It pops up a little window that says whatever it is we want it to say again and again and again and again and again to remind them if we want to, right? Shane, feel free to jump in if you got something, man.
Well, I didn't know how kind that would be to our end users.
So lots of different uses, folks. Organizational information. This is one way we can explain our policies and procedures to everyone, right? Not just internal IT, right? This is your job. This is what you're supposed to be doing each day. This is what we expect you to do and when we expect you to respond and so forth. But letting end users know that too, maybe in slightly different language, folks, right? Your audience matters. How you write something. Shane and I know that specifically because that's part of what we do here is write, right? And we need the same content in different audiences and we have to rewrite it in different ways, okay? So some articles with the exact same information might be dressed up a little bit differently. How-to assistance, of course, break fix, how to do things, okay? I like to, everything I post to the user console library, all the software and utilities that I post there, for whether for end users or for my fellow technicians, I like to write an article about them. Right? The article includes the symptoms. This is why you might go click on this button in the user console library because you're having these problems. When you click that button, although it's going to be completely silent and it's going to do whatever it was I told it to do because I built it, right? I wanted to let you know this is what it's going to be doing. There might be some gotchas. It may be that you're going to lose your internet bookmarks or your history or autofill passwords or something. I want to let you know that right up front. So kind of a release notes kind of thing, right? I like to write an article about every single thing that I post in the user console library. And one of the really cool things when I do that is because I have the ability to one-click drop any knowledge base article right into a ticket that gets emailed to the end user. I don't have that ability to drop a user console library posting right into the comment that gets emailed to a user. But if I have a knowledge base article about the thing that I want them to go to the user console library and do, I write an article that has a hyperlink to the thing on the user console library, and Bob's your uncle, right? I can send any knowledge base article, I can send any user console library item directly to a user. They didn't go look for it themselves, no problem. They created a ticket they shouldn't have created, no problem. I drop it in, gets emailed to them, I'm done. Okay, so it doesn't matter if they won't help themselves, folks. It doesn't matter if they won't help themselves. It's worth doing all this stuff because we can help them much more efficiently if we have a one-click button to go do the thing. Yes, it would have been better if they'd never created the ticket at all. Okay, but not that much better because it's still only one click for me. Okay, and then different announcements. Okay. So there's lots and lots of uses for these knowledge base articles. But fundamentally, we want them to be solving problems, providing solutions to our customers. Now, the user console library, we can post 3 different kinds of things here: downloads, installs, and scripts. Okay? So basically, any of the things that our K1000 does to computers that we can build it to do, we can make available for on-demand, one-click access anytime. And again, we're going to have some of these things posted that are end-user focusing, that are customer focusing, and some that are posted only to be accessed by fellow technicians. Okay, I've got some examples here on screen. A download, it means just that. There's just some files that you need. There's no actual install or functions that are run. You just need some files. Maybe our company has certain fonts and template files that we need to use, like company letterhead, that sort of thing. Company handbook, the user manual, or the when you first join a company, there's a list of, dress code and different policies we have and so forth, right? It's a PDF document probably. We can have that dropped right on a base desktop with a file sync, or put on the C drive and a shortcut on the desktop with a file sync, something like that. We can also make it available for on-demand access right there in the user console. Okay? And for technicians, there's all kinds of portable apps that don't require an installation, right, that we can make available for on-demand access that they could utilize on people's computers, right? So if let's say I remote into a user's computer, I open up their browser, and I log into the user console as myself, I'm going to see the things that they wouldn't be able to see, but I can access and utilize on their computer. And then I log out, and they won't be able to get to them, right? So there's all kinds of cool stuff I could do there, whether we're talking about the downloads, the installs, or the scripts. With downloads, it's not installing anything, but there are plenty of portable apps at portableapps.com that I can go download and run on any computer without having to install them. Tons of them. Virus scanners and malware scanners and portable browsers and all kinds of stuff that I can utilize when I'm troubleshooting issues. Okay, when it comes to installations, well, there's things that users bother you about. That's another high-ticket driver is I need something I don't have, especially when it comes to browser plugins and extensions, things like your Java runtime environment, things like the WebEx plugin, things like Flash Player, right, things of that nature, okay? I can make those silent installations available on demand, one-click button. User has to just go there, click one button. Right? Not only could I have managed installs and scripts push those out, but I can make them available for whenever I forgot a machine that should have gotten it. Right? A user can log into the user console library, click one button, and bam. And best yet, they didn't go out to java.com, click the red button, right, to install Java, and voila, now they have Ask Toolbar, right? They didn't mean to do anything malicious. They're trying to get something they really need for work, right? But they don't have the knowledge we have. So we go find the clean installer that doesn't come bundled with that crapware, right? We make a silent installation. We put it on the user console library. They can come get it on demand anytime. They're running the version we want them to run. It's clean. They don't even have to be a local admin, folks, because anything you click on the button, any of those installs that you post on the user console library, they run just like a managed install. They run as local system. The end user doesn't have to be a local admin to be able to access these things. Okay, user console library is a major solution, a major part of the solution, a major part of the way, the method that you can use to take away local admin rights. We did a KKE on that, folks. Okay, you can take away local admin rights, at least from some, maybe most of your end users. User console library is a major solution in that battle. Okay, because of the one-click nature, because of the fact that it runs as local system. Okay, lots of things they can still do to their machines even when they're not local admins because you made them available here. And then on the technician side, okay, what are all the different applications they need on their admin PCs to be able to do the various things? Right, if you're managing the K1000, there's different utilities you need installed. You need Wake or WADK. You need the different K2000 utilities that we have, the Media Manager and SysPrep, Creator Wizard, and all that kind of stuff, right? We can make available whatever apps and utilities they need installed in their boxes, right, so that they can access them and install them on their machines. Again, one-click button. Sure, they could figure out where to download it from if it's a free app. They could figure out how to install it, and they know where the license code is, but that takes 5-10 minutes. Right? One-click button takes 20 seconds. That adds up over time. Make sure they have all the tools they need at their disposal. And then scripts. This is maybe the most powerful thing in the entire K1000 for automating. I can make any script that I build in the K1000 available on the user console library, whether it's available to all our users, all our customers, or if it's only available to my fellow technicians. Yes, my fellow techs, we could figure out how to do these things manually, but that's a manual process that takes time that I have to do again and again and again, and I might not always do it the same way. If I pre-build the script, and it can be very, very complicated. It can be multi-part installations and configurations and running of utilities and so forth, can do it all automated in a certain order with validation checks and so forth built into the scripting because the K1000 scripting module has that ability. So anything, literally anything I ever do to computers more than once, I'm going to build a script to do that thing. So now any of my technicians can do what I can do, and I can do what any of them can do. Because nobody has to know how to do it. Well, somebody had to. They had to write the script, right? But only one person at that time. And now we can do it again and again and again the same way every time. And now our end users, our customers, get the exact same customer experience every single time. And our technicians don't have to spend the time to do these things every single time. We're talking about dramatic improvements in speed and efficiency. The solutions are much closer now. Okay? Scripts can basically do anything. They can do a lot of anythings in a certain order. Okay? Imagine that you have a user request, their computer is slowed down. It's gotten really slow. And right there, right away, in your mind, there are several things you probably do every time that request comes in. Right? You probably clean up the hard drive with a drive cleaner of some kind. You probably run a malware, a virus scanner. Right? You probably check for bad software like iTunes and LimeWire and stuff like that, and you uninstall them. Right? You probably run a check disk and reboot the machine so it'll run, a defrag, whatever. Every bit of that can be put into one single script. It runs in a certain order, does all those things completely automated, folks, completely silent. How long would it take you to do all those things manually every single time that comes in? Imagine if you could log into the user's machine, as them, whatever, pull up the user portal, log in as yourself, click one button, and all those things just happen. Log out, walk away, come back in a couple hours and check the results. What could you do in those couple hours that you couldn't have done because you'd have had to sit there and do all those things manually? If you are not using the user console library more than anything else we're going to talk about today or have talked about so far, if you are not using the user console library in these ways, folks, you are flushing your time down the toilet. I know it's going to take you a while to build all this stuff, but that time is going to be paid back exponentially every day. ROI, return on investment. Okay? Now, those two really are the most important thing. Okay? Ticketing is great. It's awesome. K1000 is really customizable. But I said it before, I'll say it again, folks. If it takes you a long time to get the ticketing set up because you focus on the knowledge base and the user console library items that can help you solve everyday problems, your time is going to be freed up far more than what an actual ticketing system gives you. There are benefits, absolutely undeniable benefits to having a centralized ticketing system, customizable or not, right? But there's more of a benefit from having the solutions to problems close at hand, okay? I'm going to go ahead and answer a question that I got in chat. I don't usually do that. I usually wait till the end. But since I've claimed that it's so much more important using the prior two features than what I'm going to tell you from now, I want to go ahead and answer this question. Daniel asks, what advantage is there to posting stuff in the user console library versus sharing via network folders other than the program can run as system? So he's already identified one major benefit. It runs as system, whereas if I just go access some sort of executable on a network share, and run it, it's running as whoever I'm logged into Windows as. And I can get the same system benefit by running psexec-s and the command line for whatever utility I want to run, because psexec-s runs whatever command that follows as local system. I can do that there, okay? So the benefits for the user console library, one, I can get to it from anywhere. Can I always get to the network share? Right? Two, it is a fully prepared a script or manage install or download or whatever that does whatever it does silently. It's already pre-built. I don't have to access the file on a network share and run it from a command line to be able to put in whatever those silent command line commands are, right? Or create a batch file that might not run perfectly every time in that network share, right? Two, it's maybe most importantly, if I write knowledge base articles about the things I post on the user console library, they can be dropped right into tickets. Users can run them from the user console library if I made them available, where they probably cannot get access to my network share, where I share all of my cool utilities and such with my fellow technicians. Okay? It can be run from a browser anywhere. Anywhere. Okay? So I hope that answers your question, Daniel. Those are some of the benefits of doing it that way, as opposed to just the old-fashioned way on some share somewhere. Cool? All right, now, ticketing. So the first thing, one quick little reminder. I told you I'm not going to go back over how to do ticketing and what our ticketing is and everything. But a queue equals a help desk. I can have as many queues in the K1000 service desk as I want to. Each queue can be a completely separate help desk. Okay? So it can be, if I'm an international company, I can have different IT queues for each of my different world regions, right? Or I can have completely different subject matter queues that, you know, IT versus HR versus facilities, okay? So end users, customers have a way to log any kind of need that they have, no matter what it's about, and it goes directly to the right people that they can get help from, right? HR techs, IT techs, whatever. Okay, so I can have as many queues as I want to. But what each queue essentially consists of, folks, is a different electronic form, right? Each form in the K1000, each queue can be completely customized. We have massive power here, folks, in terms of what you can, what fields you can have on the form, what the fields consist of. You can make all manner of different types of fields, drop-down boxes being probably the most useful ones, but I can have time, date boxes, I can have user boxes, I can have check boxes, all kinds of cool stuff I can do, hyperlinks, right? So I can completely customize and most importantly probably have a different experience for customers as opposed to technicians. Okay? I can have a nice, simple, streamlined, only a few fields available to the customers, but I can have a much busier form with far more fields available and power available to my technicians. I want to make sure that the experience with the ticket form is simple, not overwhelming for my customers, because if it's too complicated for them, they're going to do what I don't want them to do. Right? They're going to stop me in the hallway. They're going to send me an email that says, please help. Right? If I make the form too hard to use, they're not going to use the form. So I have to balance. You'll see this on another slide. I have to balance between making having the form ask for all the right bits of information, so I know what I need to know to quickly get them to a solution. But I have to balance that with not asking for too many things and making it too difficult to get the information in the form, because then they won't use it. Okay? And I can control who can submit to the particular queue, right? I can have a level 1 IT queue for end users, an escalation queue for my level 1 techs to get help from higher level techs, and so forth, right? And then I can control for the ticket owners. These are the technicians or the subject matter experts in the given areas. For instance, if I have an HR queue, it doesn't do me any good to have the IT guys be ticket owners in that queue. They can't help with HR problems, right? I need to have the HR employees be the ticket owners for that particular queue. Okay? Now, as far as customizing the layout so that I can have two unique experiences with the same form, right? I can control by permissions on each field, each individual field that I customize within the ticket. I can control whether it's something that is focused on the end user, the customer, to populate, or whether it is something focusing on my technician, whom, after all, I have far more control over, right? I only have so much sway with my end users, no matter what my policies say, right? So I want to make sure I balance this here, right? What is the key bits of information I want to get from an end user, from a customer when they have a problem? One, I need to know what location, and two, what department they are in. Do I know where every single person in the organization sits? No, I do not. How can I come and help you if I don't know where you are? Okay, I'm clearly going to want departments assigned to each ticket so that I can go later on and report on who is using IT's time. That can be valuable information later on, right? And then I need to get an impact. How many people are affected? Is it just you? Is it everybody on your floors, the whole building? Is it the entire world? And I already know what your argument's going to be. I've heard it every time. But Ron, some users always say that everybody is affected with their problem, even though they're not, right? They always claim that it's the end of the world to get your attention. Chicken Littles, right? You already know who those people are, so you just ignore whatever they put in the impact field, okay? But you also know that you have some conscientious users that when they tell you it's more widespread than just them, you can believe them. Let's give those people the ability to eliminate your work for you, because if one of your trusted people says the network is down, right, and it's everybody on the entire floor, and you can believe them. It's one of your trusted people. Well, guess what? You're not going to call them and ask them stupid questions like, did you reboot your computer yet? The problem's not on their computer. The problem is probably the switches in the closet on that floor. You can skip to step 10. He just saved you some work. Let's let him do that, okay? So impact's a really good thing. Categories. Categories are most important probably in the entire ticket form because they do two things. Number one, if they're properly filled out in the beginning, then the technician knows a lot about the problem before he even clicks on the ticket, okay? If they've got software, Microsoft, Office 2010, Word chosen as the categories and subcategories, you know a lot about that ticket. And it doesn't really even matter at that point whether Word is the cause of the problem. If they say I got an error message when I tried to access a network file, right, and it was in Word, it doesn't matter that Word isn't truly the cause of the problem. You know a lot about that problem right off the bat, right? So good categories on the front end, great. On the back end, you're going to go change that ticket. Later on, you change the categories. Once you find out that it was actually the hard drive on the server causing the problem, you're going to change it. But the category the user filled out, it served its purpose on the front end. It gave you that valuable information, okay? But we want to make it simple to use. A lot of different levels, sub, but only a few options at each level. I have demoed this time and again in past KKEs. I'll do it again in ones coming up. You can come to any open forum and ask and see all these levels and categories that I have, okay? Ticket type is one of my favorite custom fields. I have break fix, information request, upgrade, those kinds of things, check out, temporarily access some sort of thing, right? I can show you that as well sometime in a demo if you want. Okay, so I want to get the key bits of information from the end user, but then from the technician, I'm going to have a ton more fields, right? We control the priority. We don't let end users control that. Okay, the status, I want a lot of very granular choices in status because I, as the help desk manager, want to be able to look at the list of tickets without having to click on tickets and read all the information and see exactly where we are on any particular ticket at any particular time. I want lots of very granular status choices. Okay, some of the categories that I hid from end users, the ones that involve network resources, server resources, the hardware underpinning their computer resources, the video card and stuff, they can't possibly know. I'm going to hide those options so they don't have too many options to look at. Okay, but they're available to my techs to pick because they can know. Okay, at any time I can add a comment to a ticket, mark it as owners only, and the customer on that ticket, the end user on that ticket, will not be able to see that comment. They won't get an email about it. They won't be able to see it. Okay, these can be very valuable things. Okay, and then I'd like a ticket source field. I want to know, how did they submit this ticket? Was it via the user portal and or the K1000 Go mobile app, which is how I really want them opening tickets? Or was it via, they called it in and I created it for them, right? Did they send an email? And that's how it got created? Because I want a whole lot more of mobile app and user console and a whole lot less of calling me and making me open the ticket for them, emailing a ticket in, stopping me in the hallway and making me create a ticket for them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? And eventually, hopefully, that's all I have. Because if they're using my form, whether via the mobile app or the user console, it matters not. If they're using my form, then they're giving me the information that I need up front. And we're a whole lot closer to a solution. They're using less of my IT technician's time to get their problems resolved if they're using these two methods. Any other, and they're using more time than is needed because they're not giving adequate information up front. They're not telling us enough about the problem they're having for us to help them with a solution. Okay? Now, finally, one last thing to squeeze in here, folks, before I open it up. The life cycle of a ticket. There's something you can use called system ticket rules. If you go into your help desk configuration queues, click on a queue, scroll down to the bottom, there are system ticket rules that are already built in, already configured. You just need to tweak them and turn them on. Okay, they're going to help you a great deal. Okay, I've talked about how today it doesn't matter whether users will actually go and look in the knowledge base and the user console library for a solution to their problem they're having before they open a ticket or not. Okay, they can do that. If they do that, then they never use a single solitary second of our time. They don't create a ticket. We never knew they had a problem. Their problem's already resolved. That's the best case scenario. It doesn't matter whether they'll do that or not, because if they go ahead and open a ticket, okay, that there was a solution for in the KB or the software library, the user console library, okay, they go ahead and open a ticket anyway, that's fine because I can, again, one click in a ticket, drop any knowledge base article into a comment, and if I've got all my email stuff set up, they're going to get any comments I had to take. It's going to email to the end user. There's their solution. So fine, it took an extra 30 seconds of my time. They could have gone and looked in the knowledge base, looked in the user console library themselves, and found the solution and never taken that 30 seconds. But the great thing is they only have to take 30 seconds because I know that that thing exists. They go ahead and open the ticket, one click, drop it in, change the status of the ticket to waiting on customer, save, I'm back out in the list, back on, moving on to other things. Took me 30 seconds. Okay? But what if they never respond and say, okay, thank you for that solution, Ron, that helped, you can close my ticket. What if they never do that? The ticket stays open, I have to badger them every day, and they never get back to me and tell me, blah, blah, blah. That's where the system ticket rule waiting on customer comes in. okay? Once the ticket has been in waiting on customer for, pick your time, 2 days, 2 hours, 7 days, 2 weeks, a month, whatever. Once it's been waiting on in that status for, I'm going to say 7 days, okay, then it automatically changes the ticket from waiting on customer to waiting overdue. I didn't have to do anything. Happens automatically. It sends an email to the end user, to the customer, saying, hey, it's been 7 days since we heard from you. Can we close your ticket? Is everything resolved? Or do you still need some help? Let us know. Okay? Does that automatically, updates the ticket and sends them the email. But what if they don't respond? They still don't respond. No problem. You got another system ticket rule. Okay? Once it's been in waiting overdue for another time period, pick whatever you like, 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, whatever. I'm going to say another 7 days. Right? It's going to go ahead and close the ticket. It's going to change it from waiting overdue to overdue close. It's going to add a comment that gets emailed to the ticket, emailed to the end user that says, hey, it's been a total of 2 weeks. We haven't heard a peep from you. We're going to assume your problem's resolved, closing your ticket. Okay? So I spent a grand total of 30 seconds on this ticket, guys. 2 weeks later, closed. Orderly, implemented via our timelines and our policies. Done. The user never has to get back to us. I don't have to follow up with them and badger them, send a bunch of emails. I don't have to remember to do this. I don't have to do this. Send a bunch of emails, phone calls, go by their desks. Right? The ticket lifecycle is completely automated. Cool? So I know we're over time, folks, but I'm going to go ahead and stick around. I notice it looks like all of y'all have stuck around, or at least most of you. I'm going to go ahead and stick around in case you have any Q&A. I notice we've already got somebody who's typed in a question. I'll check that out in just a second. But I'm going to ask Shane here in just a second, folks, to unmute everybody's microphone so that you can use chat, you can use Q&A, you can just audibly say whatever your question or discussion topic point is. But remember this, when Shane unmutes you folks, we're going to hear every single sound coming through your microphone. So you might immediately mute yourself once he unmutes you, and then you can unmute yourself when you are ready to talk. Go ahead, Shane, if you would.
For some reason, those dogs never start barking until you unmute.
All right. Now, we got a question. Daniel asked, is there a WYSIWYG interface for creating markdown text? Excellent question, Daniel. Looks like Felipe, you might mute. There we go.
Can I mute Ron?
Yeah, Stuart and John, you can mute. Oh, is that you ringing, Shane? All right, so Daniel asks, is there a WYSIWYG interface, so what you see is what you get, interface for creating markdown text? No, there is not, but there's the next best thing, Daniel, is this free utility that a lot of us here at KACE use. We don't own it, we don't build it, somebody else makes it, but it's awesome. It's called Markdown Pad. Look for just Google Markdown Pad 2, number 2. Awesome. It's for building HTML code, markdown text. You get 2 panes. And in one, you type your text and you use Word style buttons, Microsoft Word style buttons, bold and italic and all that kind of stuff. And it spits out actual markdown / HTML text that you can utilize. It's really cool, super simple to use. Okay, you can use that both for customizing the user portal page itself in HTML code, and you can use it for building media-rich, knowledge-based articles, Daniel. Cool? All right, I'm going to go and mark that one as answered. All right, folks, go ahead. That's all I see in... Oh, no, I see something else in chat. Just a second. I'll check that out in just a second. And there we go. Now, in the chat window, I see... Mark says, good reminders on a lot of things and some encouragement to use tools we don't utilize yet. All right, excellent. I appreciate that comment, Mark. Good. That means I did my job today. Awesome. Okay, so that...
Before that?
Yeah.
It was, when you say sources include apps, email, etc., do you mean we can integrate email into the service desk tool?
Absolutely. You can set it up so that people can email and create tickets into, and that the K1000 can email information out about tickets to users and techs. as well as then the ability to hit reply on any of those emails that come from the K1000 and update said ticket via the information in that email. You can absolutely do that. Okay? Was that it in chat, Shane?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, folks, it's everything we see in chat, everything we see in Q&A. So feel free, unmute. Any question you got, any discussion topic, anything at all, go for it. Come on, folks, there's got to be something.
You mentioned on the that you could do those scripts that they could just click on and install on their computer.
Mm-hmm.
I tried doing that, but it doesn't work for me because it installed it on everybody in the office. I have mine outward pointing, so I'm assuming it just grabbed the IP of our office and it pushed it out to everybody.
No, whenever you build a script or a managed install or a patch job, anything in the K1000, you have the ability to target whatever computers of the ones that are in inventory that you want to target with that specific thing. One, you can check the box all machines or all devices, and that's going to go to everything in inventory, or at least attempt to. Two, you can choose individual computers from the drop-down box on that script. Right? You click in there and it'll show you all the computers in inventory. You can pick and choose the ones you want.
Yeah.
Three, you can choose labels of devices that you've already created to target only devices in said specific labels. You can choose any or all of those options on each individual script, patch schedule, or managed install. Okay?
Yeah, but if you try and put it on the user console, where they can automatically do it themselves,
Yep.
it won't let them. I couldn't set it up so it would install on their computer.
Well, user console library is on demand, so they have to come and choose it.
Yes, that's what I mean. See, I set it up to do one of my managed installs on the user console, and I went into the user console, pressed install now, and it installed it on everybody in the office.
That may be picking up the IP of your gateway device.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
In that situation, I would recommend adding that IP address to the ignore IP addresses.
In settings,
K1000.
general settings.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you're saying now. Interesting. So what you've got is a remote office that is behind a VPN, behind a NAT concentrator, right? And all the computers in that office are showing up as the same IP, the IP on the outside of that NAT concentrator instead of the actual private IP they have inside that part of your network.
Yeah, that's right.
As Shane said, if you go to the settings module in your K1000, go to general settings, which is top left of the control panel, scroll down to the IP ignore list, okay? Put in the any computers that show up in inventory that have the same IP as any other computer, put those IPs into that list. And then the K1000, when they inventory, the K1000 will ignore that IP and get the actual private IP they have on their NIC.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Will that affect my labels? Because I use my my labels to say which office it's in based on that IP address.
Yeah, you'll need to build new labels.
Okay.
So do you have different IP subnets in each office?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Then you'll build the labels like
based on
this.
subnet.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll build IP address begins with the first 3 octets, trailing period, of the actual IP subnet in that actual office.
Okay.
Cool?
Cool. That helps.
Glad you were here, Shane. I had forgotten all about that. Okay, looks like Mark's got a couple questions. We have a required field on all tickets for requiring that a submitter's division or, department, whatever, is manually chosen by the person profiling the ticket. Is there a way to use labels to automatically have KACE select the correct division based on the submitter's name? Technically, yes, there's a way to do that. You could build a ticket rule, a custom ticket rule, Mark, that would, assuming that the K1000 knows what division a user is in, say maybe in the asset module or in the LDAP import that you've done from Active Directory, it has users associated with divisions, then you could create a ticket rule that would, once a ticket was submitted with that field blank, right, with the division blank, then it would look up that user either in assets or in imported LDAP results, find their division, and populate the field with that. However, if you build that rule, you're going to need to be aware, if you build any rule, you're going to want to be aware of the exceptions, okay? I could create a ticket on behalf of some other division, right? The ticket should not be charged to my division, okay? So anytime you implement automatic rules, remember they are automatic based on whatever criteria you choose. You need to be aware of and plan for exceptions, okay? That help, Mark? You're welcome. Okay, in Q&A? Is that what were you going to say, Shane?
Yes, yes, sir.
Jarrell asked, will this presentation recording be available to us later? Yes, it definitely will, Jarrell. However, we're in the middle of transitioning from the old case.com/KKE website to the new support.software.dell.com for our recording archive. I don't yet know what the timetable will be. It used to be that at the end of each month we uploaded the recordings. I don't know if that's a different timetable yet now, so we'll get them there as soon as we can, Jerome. Okay?
Also see one in chat. Where did you say we can find how-to documentation on creating effective service desk tickets?
So on the tickets themselves, any service desk related KKE that I've done in the past, I did 101, Service Desk 101, that I believe is available in the archive.
Also got a knowledge-based article on how to create processes that might be helpful.
Okay. I wanted to do processes as part of this KKE, folks, but you can see there's no way I could have squeezed that in. So maybe I'll have one all about processes in the future. However, as it regards building tickets, knowledge-based articles, user console library postings, the how-tos, the nuts and bolts, some really good best practices, go watch a KKE in the new archive called User Console Customization Ideas. I called this out in the beginning. User Console Customization Ideas. That is literally demo from beginning to end, all demo, on exactly how to do a lot of the stuff we've talked about today.
I'll dig up that link for you real quick.
Well, you can't get a link directly to it unless you go to find the KKE article about it. You can't find one of the problems with the new archive is you can't get a direct link to a specific video.
Gotcha.
But we write KB articles about everything we post. So if you find the article about that one, then you can get a direct link to that, Shane.
That was the user console customization.
Customization ideas. In the article is a link to the video. So there you go. All right, what's next, folks? Still got 35 of you. There must be something you're dying to ask. Is this going to be the longest KKE on record?
I actually need to drop for a previous meeting, but I will get you that link, and then I will bid you all fun to do.
Cool. I'll hang out, folks, but only if you actually have something for us to discuss. You are most welcome, Jerome. Mark has a K1000 Go question. What is it, Mark?
I'll just chime in with my voice.
Sure.
So if I was experimenting with the K1000 Go app on my phone, I was logged in as a regular user, and I tried to create a ticket, and I wasn't able to successfully submit the ticket because there was a required field that was needed by the ticket to be able to create the ticket that the form for the ticket did not have access to on the K1000 Go. Specifically, that division selection field, that's a required field for us. And as the end user, I didn't have access to modifying that required custom field. Is there a way to suppress the need for the user to be required to answer that field and force the technician to do it?
Yep. required on close.
Ah, okay.
Instead of always required, mark it required on close. Alternatively, mark, okay? Choose user create on that field, okay? And then that gives the user one chance, one shot at populating a particular field. So they would see it, and they'd be able to attempt to populate it when they first submit the ticket. But from the moment that they first click save on the ticket, they will never, ever, ever be able to touch that field again.
Okay.
Okay? But that would give them the one shot up front.
Okay. And then we can mark the other. That field as required on close rather than required at creation.
Yep. Yeah. Always required puts the onus more on the end user. Required on close puts the onus more on your technician because he's the one that wants to close the ticket.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay. That's perfect. Okay. What did you say? You said required on close. And what was the terminology for the first one that we're already using? Required.
Always required is the one you're using right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
That means to initially create the ticket and to save it. Any of the billion times you will update and save a ticket, that field must be populated.
Perfect. Okay. That's great. That's good information. Thank you.
You are welcome. And Richard, you are most welcome. I see your thanks there in the chat window. All right, folks, what else? Still got 30 peeps. What else can we help you with today? Come on, there's got to be something. Nothing? There's nothing we can help with? Come on. Don't make me go back to work. All righty. Oh, Eugene, did you have a question? I see where you, okay, go ahead. What is it? Ann, feel free to email me your question. Okay, so Eugene said, we are trying to populate Java and other installers. Is there an easy way to do so? That's a really open-ended, loaded question, Eugene. IT Ninja is the place to go to find information on how to deploy any particular application, whatever you might be interested in. Last check, there were over 160,000 different titles that IT Ninja has information on how to deploy. Okay, and all that information is populated, is created, that content is generated by your fellow customers, Eugene. So these are actual end users, actual customers that have tried to deploy these applications, what silent install commands have worked, what silent installation files they've had to build to make them install the way they want, how to include the right license code, remove the previous versions, you know, all that kind of stuff. Right? IT Ninja is the place for learning how to deploy any particular application you might be interested in deploying. Okay? Just go out there and search. Sometimes I find it easier to use Google to search IT Ninja for me, right? But you can find the information. It's definitely there, Eugene. All right. Awesome. You are welcome. And Ann, if you'll just email me your question, I'll be happy to correspond that way. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for attending today's session. Ann asked for my email address. Send it to kketeam@case.com. Ann, I thought you had my email address already. So thank you so much for attending today's session, folks. It was a blast for me. I hope you got a lot out of it. We hope to see you at this Thursday's open forum and in our future sessions on different topics. If you have any feedback for us, good, bad, or otherwise, if you have any topics you'd like for us to cover in an upcoming KKE, send any and all correspondence to kketeam@case.com. We would love to hear from you. And Sean, you are most welcome. All right, folks, have a great day.